Welcome back to the #1 breakfast show in the country, Morning at NTV. In 2015, the government of Uganda approved the National Social Protection Policy, along with the Program Plan of Interventions, the PPI, the NSSP, that is the National Social Protection Policy. Overarching goal is to promote effective coordination and implementation of relevant social protection interventions and is an integral part of the Uganda Vision 2040, which underscores the importance of social protection in addressing risks and vulnerabilities. We do have Mr. Stephen Kasaija, the head of PMU, Expanding Social Protection Program from the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development. He joins me right now in studio. Very good morning, sir.
Thank you. Good morning, viewers.
Indeed. What do we mean when we say social protection? Let's start from there.
Yes, social protection is a government public intervention or private intervention which is set up to help people who could be vulnerable to various risks and shocks, so that when a shock happens, these people don't get dehumanized. Or you can also set up social protection to protect so that they don't experience those shocks. That's what we are having in the case of Uganda. Of course, time immemorial, we have had people have their own social protection within the communities, within the public. But with the growing challenges in life, globalization, people have left the homes in the villages. So the older people, for instance, are left alone. You have seen the calamities you have had, like HIV/AIDS, young people dying, families dying, leaving children who are vulnerable. So now government has to step in, and we are seeing more and increased public intervention and more of social protection interventions from government side. So and that's where we are coming from.
So as Romeo continues to work at NTV, he's remitting some little money at the NSSF. At the time of retirement, I could use that money for my social protection.
Yes, that's part of social protection. But
so what about those individuals who have never worked, and the government people? The government, those who are working for government get some kind of pension, in that even when you retire every month, you're getting some kind of pension. But then what about those individuals who have never worked for NTV, who have never worked for the government, and they are above 65? What kind of protection is there from government for them?
Yes, now that's where we have come in, and the policy you have just mentioned, social protection policy, provides for direct income support, and that direct income support is what you have heard. We are giving what we call a SAGE, Social Assistance Grants for Empowerment, to older persons, senior citizens who are 65 years and above. And we started that as a pilot to test whether the systems could work. We did it in 15 districts. Given the good performance, good results, the demand was so high, government felt that this program and intervention should go everywhere in the country. What we had to do was raise the age to 80 years and above, set up the systems everywhere, see how it works, and as the resources of government improve, we should be able to lower the age coming down.
You are planning to also lower it to around 65? Are there people who are enjoying the benefits of this program under 65?
No, not under 65. But for those who had already joined the program as a pilot, those ones we have kept them. But by now they must be 70, 69 and above.
So if I was 65 and I joined this pilot study in the 15 districts where the SAGE program was being experimented, I was kept in this program. But those who are not above 80 and 85 are not enjoying this kind of program from the government?
No, those who are above,
if they were not in the pilot study?
No, if they are 80 and above, they are on.
But if they are 65 and above and are not in the experimental stage of the program, they are excluded. Is there a plan to include all these individuals in all the 146 districts?
That's what I'm telling you, that government has a plan that over time, as resources improve, we should be lowering.
What are some of the programs under the social protection in Uganda? Let's break them down.
Yes, we have several programs on social protection. You can talk of OVC, Orphans and Vulnerable Family Support Grant programs. We will have NUSAF, Northern Uganda Social Action Fund. That is a social protection program. You may talk of what we have, a public pension. The National Social Security Fund is also what? Then we have complementary programs like youth livelihood programs we have had, WEP, women in entrepreneurship programs. All those programs are complementary to social protection.
All right, then we hear about the National Single Registry that was launched yesterday, the National Single Registry for Social Protection. What is that all about? How does it work?
Yes, because the policy recommended that we need to coordinate better social protection, and the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development was given the coordinating role of social protection. The feeling was we needed to have information. To be able to coordinate better, you need to have information. So we agreed to create a platform. So a National Single Registry for Social Protection is a platform which links up with many other social protection interventions to their management information systems so that that data can talk to each other. We can now, for instance, under the SAGE program, Expanding Social Protection Program, we are able now to access what is happening in NIRA, National Identification Authority. So we can see which beneficiary we have. Now, we can also link up through that single registry to, for instance, NUSAF. We can know who is benefiting from the NUSAF interventions, and we see whether they are also benefiting here. So that system will help us to avoid duplication of effort, to avoid double dipping where a person is getting here and also getting the other side. So that's why even the National Identification Authority comes very important, the national ID, because we can use that as a key identifier. So when the systems are talking to us, we can trace information. It also helps us to know who is missing out on all these interventions. So when you're developing new programs on social protection, you know whom to target and bring on board. So this instrument is going to be very helpful for policymakers as we decide on new programs, but it will also be helpful when we are reporting, producing our reports to see nationally how are we performing.
Indeed. Mr. Kasaija, who is able to access and use this national registry for social protection?
Yes, the registry will be available even to the public. There will be a public portal where you can access certain indicators and variables, see what is happening.
Do you have it offhand?
Yes. Yeah,
the
we
portal.
have. Yeah, once you access the NSR, National Single Registry, at Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, mglsd.go.ug.
The 25,000 in the SAGE program, is it enough to alleviate the suffering of those vulnerable groups that we are trying to help?
Yes, it may look to be small, the 25,000.
It has been criticized left, right, and center.
But we have done this as an experiment, and really our findings is that this money can transform lives. The experience we have had where the program has run consistently, people's lives have been transformed. We have seen older persons forming groups.
At 25,000?
Yeah, 25,000. 30 people in one parish, one sub-county, come together, they agree every month, when I get my 25,000, I give you 15,000. So you find that 20 people, you get 300,000 at a go. People have bought cows. People have bought iron sheets from grass search. You find somebody has transformed their life. Some have invested in goats, chicken. Over time, you have opened their gardens. Over time, you find that the person has food. So they are no longer as vulnerable as you thought. And it is that experience which has been documented and has caused a lot of demand for this program.
Of course, the COVID-19 pandemic has caused a lot of havoc economically and socially. So many people are grappling left, right, and center. Is there a plan to increase this 25,000 to maybe a different figure where people can be able to, handle the changing times?
Yes, this would have been really the ideal. That's what all of us would wish for.
Yes.
But given the constraints, as COVID is affecting these individuals, it's also affecting the economy and here and there. So, but the intention, for instance, now the demand is, can we lower the age and reach many more people? But I believe as more and more resources become available, that is out within our reach. When resources become within our reach, we should be able to...
Indeed, Mr. Kasaija, you have so many people who are thankful for such programs, and they thank the central government for having birthed such programs. But then they say there's a problem with accessibility of the same programs. What are you doing to improve accessibility to these programs?
Yes, the accessibility could be in two ways. How you target the people, for those who are being excluded because they don't have the right age. That one we are trying to solve, as I told you, as we are lobbying within government to make sure if more resources come, we lower the age so everybody gets access. There is accessibility related to distance. If I may be far from where they are paying, that one we have tried to solve. We are using banks to do the payments. For instance, now we are having Postbank and Centenary who are running this program. So what we have done, these banks have banks on wheels, for instance. They can drive nearer up to the parish level, and people access their money through there.
And what about the issue of the ghost beneficiaries? I died a long time ago, but somehow someone is still receiving my money.
No, we have tried to really iron out that.
Have you expunged those people from the registry?
Sure, because our registry, we are using, for instance, now the national ID. So we go to NIRA, get the data, put it in our MIS, process, get the people who are 8 years and above. We send those to the districts. People run and check whether this person is available. Leave alone that, when it comes to registration and enrollment on the program, we are using biometrics. You have to come and we will capture all your features and everything. The bank, you have to open a bank account yourself. So if you are dead, you can't open a bank account. So that's what I think we have done.
All right, before I let you go, Mr. Stephen Kasaija, how best can we increase the efficiency of such social protection tools moving forward?
Yeah, I think the single registry which you have talked about is one of the instruments we are trying to use to
make it
increase
efficient.
Yeah.
Stephen Kasaija, head of PMU, representing Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development. Many thanks for having made the time to speak to us.
Thank you very much.
And of course, well, if you are out there and you didn't know there was a SAGE program, 25,000 from individuals 80 years and above. Well, that money is being looked at to be increased so that it could cover the dire conditions that have been brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic. My name is Rami Busiku. You're still watching Morning at NTV. Let's take a breather. Philbert Baguma is around. We are going to be talking about the reactions to the President Museveni's speech last night. We'll be right back.